So thousands of dropshipping stores quietly died in the last 2 years from the same cause of death. And if you're running a store the old way, it will probably kill yours too. Now, I talk to hundreds of sellers every year at my conference, the Seller Summit, and the reality on the ground looks nothing like the dropshipping is dead versus it's a gold rush debate that you see on social media. Something fundamental broke underneath the old dropshipping model, and the sellers still making money today are using dropshipping in a completely different way. I'm going to show you exactly what changed and how successful sellers are dropshipping today. But to understand what's happening in dropshipping right now, you need to first understand what the original playbook actually was, and more importantly, why it worked when it did. Now, dropshipping used to be the perfect business model. Find a product on AliExpress for $8, list it for $40, run some Facebook ads, and never touch the inventory. Your supplier ships directly to the customer, you pocket the margin, and you scale the ads if it works. Now, you didn't need a warehouse or any upfront capital for inventory. Now, I remember watching dropshipping take off in the mid-2010s and thinking, this is a great way to test demand before committing real money. Now, I was running my own store by that point, selling handkerchiefs and linens, and I had friends in mastermind groups building six-figure stores almost overnight. The model was working and the money was real. And it worked for a lot of people until about 2022. I would talk to sellers at my conference who were running six-figure stores on pure arbitrage, selling products they never held in their hands from suppliers they never visited. And the whole machine ran on a combination of cheap Facebook advertising, customers willing to wait 2 or 3 weeks for delivery, and a trade policy that almost nobody in the industry really thought about. And that policy was called the de minimis exemption. It allowed any package valued at under $800 to enter the US completely duty-free, and it was the silent engine underneath the entire dropshipping economy. The reason a $4 product from a factory in China could land on a doorstep in Ohio for just $7 in total landed costs is because the US government had decided years earlier that small packages weren't worth the administrative overhead to tax. And what's funny is that most dropshippers didn't even know that rule existed. They just knew the math worked, but they had no idea that their entire business depended on it. And that's when 4 catastrophic events destroyed dropshipping. Now, the first was the de minimis exemption. On May 2nd of 2025, the government quietly removed that loophole for China and Hong Kong and then suspended it for every country in the world. Products that used to enter the US tax-free now faced full tariff rates in customs processing. Now, if you stack the baseline tariff on top of the China-specific rates, and you're looking at a total cost increase of roughly 54%. And sometimes these shipments had a flat $100 fee per shipment. So do that math on a real product. Something that landed for $7 now costs $10 or $11 to import. And if you were selling it for $25 with a $14 gross margin, you just lost a third of your profit before spending a single dollar on advertising. And for stores already running thin, that one change was enough to end the business. Now, the second was shipping. Back in the day, a postal subsidy called e-packet gave Chinese merchants access to the American postal system at rates that made no sense. Shipping a 13-ounce parcel from New York to San Francisco cost $6, but that same parcel from China to the US cost only $1.50. Shipping from overseas was somehow cheaper than shipping within the country. Now, the government phased out e-packet starting in 2020, and by 2025, that advantage was completely gone. Now, the third was competition. Temu and Shein perfected what early dropshippers were doing by hand, except they cut out every middleman in the process. They contract directly with the same factories your dropshipping supplier sources from, ships in massive consolidated volumes, and then sells to your customer at a price you can't possibly match without losing money on the transaction. A phone case that costs you $6 from your AliExpress supplier is only $3.99 with free shipping on Temu. And you can't compete on price with companies that own the supply chain. And the final one was customer expectations. Amazon Prime trained an entire generation of shoppers to expect delivery in 2 days. And that expectation has now spread to every online shopping experience, including yours. The customers waiting 2.5 weeks for an overseas package are not happy. They open disputes, leave bad reviews, and those reviews follow every future customer into your product page. Nobody talks about the package that arrived in 2 days, but the people who have to wait 3 weeks tell everyone. And after enough of those experiences and getting poor quality, no-name products, shoppers are skeptical of unfamiliar stores before they even see your ad. Now let me be completely blunt about something, because I don't think enough people are saying this clearly. There are still a lot of people selling the dropshipping dream online. YouTube channels, Twitter threads promising passive income with no experience and 30 days to your first 5-figure month. And to be fair, some of those people are probably making real money, but the actual numbers on dropshipping outcomes are not what the content landscape suggests. 90% of dropshipping stores fail within the first year, and only 1.5% of stores ever reach $50,000 a month in revenue. That is the real distribution. Now, the stores that are failing right now are almost universally running the old version of dropshipping that existed in 2019. Cheap products sourced overseas, 3-week shipping times, no brand identity, and then hoping the ad works before the chargebacks and the returns eat what's left of the margin. I've been selling online for almost 20 years now, and the shift in the questions I get from sellers tells you almost everything you need to know about what's happened to this industry. Back in 2020, virtually every conversation I had was about how to start a dropshipping store. But by today, those conversations had moved almost entirely towards brand building, private label, and owned customer relationships. So here's what the winning sellers figured out, and this is something that I cover in depth in my free e-commerce mini course link below. But success with dropshipping today is a mindset shift more than anything else. Dropshipping has always been a testing tool, even when most people were treating it like a full business model. The sellers who use it correctly are using it to validate demand before committing capital to inventory. Just run a couple hundred orders through a dropship supplier, see what converts and retains customers, find that one product that people love enough to come back for, and then build the real business around that product. Source it from a factory, invest in real packaging, and then turn that validated winner into an actual brand. I had a conversation with a seller who had been dropshipping for about 3 years. He'd gone through the entire arc: the early excitement, scaling the ads, watching returns and chargebacks eat the margins, and then the tariff shock hitting whatever was left. But instead of quitting, he did something smart. He pulled 3 years of order data, identified the one product with the highest repeat purchase rate and the lowest return rate, dropped everything else, and rebuilt the entire store around that single product with US-based inventory and real branding. His margins went from around 15% to over 40% in the same year, and his return rate dropped by more than half because he was finally selling something he actually stood behind. And that story is not unusual. What's unusual is that he actually did it instead of just thinking about it. Now, the common thread among the sellers who made the pivot is that they treated the first phase of their business as research, aka dropshipping, and the second phase as execution, which is aka private label. The ones who fail start and stay with dropshipping, usually because some course or guru told them that that was the move. So what does the playbook actually look like for the sellers who are making this work? Here's a 3-step framework that you can copy right now. Step 1 is to change where the product ships from. I've been telling students in my class for the past couple years, if you're dropshipping from China and your customer is in Ohio, you've already lost the review battle before that package even arrives. If you're going to run a dropshipping business, at least use a supplier that has built out a US warehouse infrastructure. The sellers dropshipping from a US warehouse are seeing 3 to 5 day delivery times, and the customer satisfaction is just way better. Sure, the margins are tighter than overseas sourcing was in 2018, but you'll get much better reviews. Now, the second step is harder because it's mental. Treat every product you test as a vote, not a business, because you're not trying to scale anything just yet. You're basically looking for 2 signals: a low return rate and real repeat purchase behavior. Most sellers skip this step and try to scale the first thing that converts, which is exactly why they lose money. Step 3 is once you've found a good product, stop acting like a dropshipper. Private label that product under your own brand, create custom packaging and real product photography, an email list, a returns process that treats the customer like someone you want back. The distribution channel that rewards all of this more than anything else right now is TikTok, which drove over $64 billion in 2025. And the sellers winning there are not running ads. They're just showing up as the person behind the product, explaining what it does and why it matters. The businesses that last are the ones where the founder can tell you in one sentence who their customer is and why their product matters to them. TikTok, YouTube, and every social media platform rewards that clarity, And so does every repeat customer who comes back without being retargeted. The old dropshipping model never required you to develop a brand, and that's exactly why so many stores built on that model have nothing left to stand on. The e-commerce business model that works in 2026 uses dropshipping for what it always was good at: low-risk product discovery. And it uses brand building for what dropshipping was always terrible at, which is making a customer want to buy from you twice. Here's what I want you to take away from all this. Dropshipping is not dead. The price arbitrage, no brand, AliExpress to doorstep version of it is done. And honestly, that's fine, because that version was always a house of cards built on a trade policy loophole and low shipping costs that no longer exist. What's left is a legit way to test products with minimal capital at risk. And if you use it in the way the winning sellers are using it right now, it gets you to a real brand faster and with less money on the line than almost any other path that I know. So the opportunity has not closed, only the shortcut to it has. And if you want to understand how the brand building side of this works in practice, I did a full video on building a private label product from scratch that picks up exactly where this one leaves off that you can watch right here. So if you're still running the 2019 style dropshipping in 2026, this is your 30-day pivot plan.